I shouldn't have looked back. But I did. He stood there barefoot on cold marble, holding the key I left behind. His fingers trembled around it, like it hurt to touch or to let go. I turned before I could see his eyes. My throat was burning. From scent, from silence, from everything I didn't say. It wasn't supposed to go like this. 3 months ago, I arrived with a suitcase that barely closed and heat suppressants rattling in my bag. They told me the alpha here could help. Temporary arrangement. Clinical, no bonds, no risk. I believed them. He didn't speak much the first week. Just nodded. Moved around me like I was glass. Breakable. I kept my head down. Took the pills. Logged my temperatures. I even smiled once. Awkward and sharp. When he handed me tea without asking. I thought I imagined the way his fingers brushed mine. Too soft to mean anything. But then he started showing up in small ways. A folded blanket on the couch I never used. My mug always clean before I woke. Windows cracked open just enough so my scent wouldn't overwhelm the space. He never stared, but I could feel it. Every time I looked up, he was just turning away, like he didn't want me to see him watching. That's when it started getting harder to breathe. His scent wasn't harsh. It was low, steady, like the earth after rain. Calming, but every time I inhaled, it left something behind in my chest. A weight I couldn't name. Once I walked into the hallway at 3 a.m. I don't know why. Maybe I heard something. Maybe I dreamed him, but he was there standing outside my door, back against the wall. Our eyes met. He didn't speak, just tilted his head, like he didn't expect me to see him. And then he walked away. After that night, I kept the door closed tighter, but it didn't stop me from hearing his footsteps outside. Quiet, hesitant. I started dreaming about his voice, even though I barely knew what it sounded like. I hated how my body noticed him before my mind agreed. My heat was still 2 months away. The suppressants were working. I had no reason to react this way, but every time he passed too close, my skin tightened. My scent changed first. I caught it clinging to my clothes, sweeter, warmer, like it was reaching for something. I drowned myself in cold showers and guilt. He noticed. Of course he noticed, but he never acted. Not until the night I forgot to lock my door. It was raining, the kind that eats silence. I sat on the floor of the kitchen, knees pulled to my chest, trying to ignore the way my body buzzed from the inside. I didn't take the suppressant that night. I wanted to see, just once. Would he come? I heard footsteps, but they didn't stop at the hallway. He stood by the entrance, watching, dripping wet. I didn't speak, neither did he. Just the sound of his breathing, shallow, controlled. He looked at the table, at the key I'd placed there. I left it like a question, a test. He picked it up slowly, fingers brushing the wood. Then he looked at me. I felt it then, in my gut, that everything was already too late, that I had let something in I couldn't shut out anymore. Still, I got up, walked past him, pretended my legs weren't shaking, pretended I didn't feel the way his scent broke rhythm the moment I passed. My room was colder than I remembered. I left the door open. Just a little, but he didn't follow. And I thought, maybe this will pass. Maybe I imagined all of it. Maybe I sit still safe. The next morning he was gone. His shoes were wet near the door. The mug was still on the counter, untouched. I stood there for too long. Everything smelled like him. And still I couldn't breathe. So I wrote a note. Simple, clean, no scent, no goodbye. No scent, no goodbye. Just left the key on the table. I told myself it wasn't running. But as I stepped out into the rain, I looked back. And he was still there. Still holding the key like it hurt him to have it. I wanted to scream, or run to him, or explain that I didn't know what was happening to me, that I was scared. But all I did was nod and walk away. Even as my scent chased me down the road, he never touched me, not once, but still I felt it. Like phantom warmth on my wrist, my back, my shoulder, places his hands never touched, but always hovered near. He'd walk past me in the hallway and I'd feel it, the air shifting, like something deep inside him was reaching out but stopping just short. I kept telling myself it was nothing, just tension from living in close quarters. Just me being too sensitive. Just being Omega. But then he started handing me things. A warm coffee mug in the morning before I even asked. He'd press it into my palm, fingers grazing mine for just a second too long. And even after he let go, I felt the shape of his hand burned into the handle. Then it became the blanket. I would doze off on the couch sometimes, when the suppressant made my body ache and my head too heavy. I'd wake up disoriented, cold, but the second time, I found the blanket tucked gently over me. It wasn't set from the shelf. It was his. His scent was buried in the fabric, deep and slow and forest warm. My heart stuttered as I clutched it tighter, pretending I didn't notice. Pretending I didn't bury my face into it once, when I thought no one was watching. But maybe he was. Because the next night, there was no blanket. And then the next night, it returned. Like he was watching me figure him out. Like he wanted me to. There was this moment, small but it stayed with me. I was leaning over the counter, wiping the edge of the sink. My hair had slipped down, damp at the back of my neck. And suddenly, a breath, warm, too close, right at my gland. I froze. His presence behind me was thick, like a scent caught between restraint and accident. His breath hitched, then he pulled back fast. Like I'd burned him. Like he got caught doing something wrong. Our eyes didn't set meet that time. But I saw it, the way his lashes trembled. The way his hand clenched at his side before he walked away. He didn't say sorry, didn't explain. He never did. But after that, everything felt different. Like the air between us had memory. Like my skin remembered his nearness too well. I told myself it was coincidence, that he was just polite, considerate, maybe even shy. But his scent, it said something else. Alpha scent doesn't lie. It seeps into walls, air clothes, it sticks when they want it to. And lately, it was always on me. I changed clothes more often, showered longer, but still it clung. To the collar of my shirt, to my pillow, to the inside of my throat. I started avoiding eye contact, because every time I did look at him, his gaze dropped. To my lips, to my throat, to my gland. The way his eyes lingered there, like something caged behind them was trying to claw out. And yet, he said nothing. Like if he never spoke, none of it would be real. One afternoon, I tested it. I leaned in while handing him a folder, close enough that my shoulder brushed his chest. Close enough that my hair tickled the underside of his chin. He didn't move. But I felt it. His breath hitched. His scent spiked, sharp, then gone. Like he swallowed it fast. I pulled back. Pretended I didn't feel anything. But that night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the way he stood behind me earlier, waiting by the sink like he wanted to say something, but never did. He was silent. Always. But sometimes silence is louder than words. Sometimes silence is pressure. Heat. A scent that chokes gently, like a hand brushing the side of your neck without ever touching you. And I hated how I wanted to lean into it. There was a storm that week, rain tapping against the windows for days. I like storms. The sound drowned my thoughts. But that night, I couldn't stop listening. For his footsteps. For the kettle. For the sound of his bedroom door. I heard it open, pause, close. Then nothing. But the next morning when I entered the kitchen, the mug he used was already rinsed and placed beside mine. Right beside it. Not random. Not careless. Intentional. I stared at the two mugs for too long. Identical. Side by side. Like we belonged in the same rhythm. Like we were already paired. No. I shook the thought away. He never said anything. Never reached out. But he never pulled away either. Like he wanted to be caught. Like he needed me to ask. But how could I? I didn't know what we were. Was this just his way? Or was he fighting something too? And then there was the time I tripped coming down the stairs. He caught me. One arm around my waist, the other gripping my wrist. Firm, warm. His scent exploded. Like firewood and ozone and something dangerous. I looked up. His face was too close. And for 1 second, one breath, he leaned in. Not to kiss, not to claim. Just to inhale. Right at my collarbone. A tremble ran through his fingers. Then he let go. Fast, too fast. Like touching me cost him something. I stood there shaking. He walked away without a word. But I heard it. The low sound in his throat. Like a growl. Choked. Buried. After that, I stopped leaving my room at night. Not because I was afraid. But because I didn't trust myself anymore. Because my fingers itched to reach for the door. Because his scent lingered outside it too often. Like he stood there, listening, like he wanted to knock, but didn't and I hated that part of me waited for it. Every night, until the key, until I left it, to see if he sipped crossed that line, to see if I meant more than silence. And when I saw his hand close around it, shaking, my chest cracked open. Because I knew, he wanted to come in, but still waited for me to say yes. It started slow. The third day of rain, the sky swollen gray and my body worse, heavy, itchy under the skin, like heat was crawling through my bones. I thought the suppressants would hold. I took them, swallowed them dry with shaking hands. But something inside me didn't care anymore. I locked the door, pulled the curtains. I didn't want him to smell me, but I knew he already did. I stripped down, turned the water on, cold as I could bear, sat under the spray until my skin turned numb and my lips trembled. But nothing worked. The heat came anyway. Thick, sweet, suffocating. It curled up from inside my chest like smoke, filled my throat, coated the walls. I dug my nails into my thighs, bit down on the towel to muffle the sound. My body betrayed me. My scent, it wasn't just leaking. It was calling. And I hated it. Because somewhere in that haze, I wanted to be found. I wanted him to smell it. I pressed my forehead against the tiles, breathed through the ache. Then, footsteps. Outside my door. Slow, careful. I froze. He didn't knock. Didn't speak. Just stood there. I could feel him, like heat pressing through the wall. His alpha scent, it was close now. Closer than it should have been. I clutched the towel tighter around me, my heart thudding, throat dry. And then, a sound, soft metal. The lock. Click. I forgot. I gave him the spare key, days ago before this. For safety, I said, in case I collapsed. He never used it, until now. The door creaked open. Steam rushed out. His scent rushed in. Everything inside me shattered. He didn't say a word, but I felt it. The shift in air, the pulse in my glands. I curled in tighter. Dawn set. It came out broken, almost silent. But he was already in front of me. Kneeling. One hand reached out, not rough, not fast, just trembling. He lifted my chin. Didn't force, didn't grip, just held. My eyes burned. My vision blurred. He leaned in. Scent colliding with mine, crashing like a wave. My body betrayed me again. I tilted just enough. And he licked my gland. One soft, desperate stroke. Everything spun. The tile fell away. The world tipped sideways. My chest collapsed into fire. My fingers gripped his wrist before I even knew what I was doing. Not pulling away. Not pushing. Just holding. His mouth hovered there. Breath hot. I felt the growl vibrate through his throat. Low. Painful. Like he was fighting himself. Why? I whispered. He didn't answer. But his forehead touched mine. And he breathed me in. Deep, slow. Like he waited years for it. My legs gave out. He caught me. Arms tight around my waist. My head fell against his shoulder and I could feel his heartbeat. Fast, wild, like it didn't know what to do inside his chest. I couldn't think. My gland throbbed where he touched it. My body screamed for more. But my heart, it whispered. Wait. He didn't push me. He sat there, holding me. His rut scent rising, thickening. But still controlled. Still for me. Stop, I said again. But my voice shook. He flinched. Pulled back. Just enough. But he didn't leave. He cupped the back of my neck. Fingers warm. Careful. He looked into my eyes. And for the first time I saw him break. Not with lust. With something else. Guilt. Need. Something that looked too much like love. He whispered something then. Just one word. I didn't catch it. My head was too heavy. My scent too thick. But his voice stayed. Even after everything else blurred. Even after I collapsed against his chest, body slick with sweat, breath shallow. Even after the cold tiles kissed my knees and the world tilted again. He carried me, wrapped me in towels, laid me on the bed trembling. I felt his hand brush the hair from my face. Felt his scent settle around me like a blanket. He didn't claim me. Didn't bite. Didn't take. But he stayed. Sat beside the bed all night. I heard his breath. Ragged. Unsteady. He was holding himself back. For me. And I hated that I wanted him to break. Just a little. Just enough to fall with me. But he didn't He waited. Even when my fingers found his. Even when I whispered his name. He just gripped my hand tighter. And said, I set him here. That was all. That was enough to make me cry. I turned my face into the pillow. Bit down on the sound. Because I knew, everything had changed. One lick. One moment. And nothing would ever be the same again. I don't remember falling. 1 second, my body was shaking under his touch. The next I wasn't holding myself up anymore. Just heat, scent, skin, his scent wrapped around me like smoke. Not gentle anymore. Not patient. Overwhelming. It came in waves. Thicker than breath. Heavier than thought. His rut hit mid-lick. I felt the shift in him. The soft tremble in his fingertips turned into a firm grip at my waist. His forehead pressed against mine, but he wasn't present. Not fully. His body was shaking. With restraint, or desperation, or both. The low growl rumbled in his chest. It was the kind that never reached his mouth. Just lived there. Buried, controlled. Until now. He whispered, sorry. Soft, wrecked. His voice broken like he didn't mean for it to happen. Like he hated himself for what was already spilling into the air. His scent crashed into mine. Swallowed it whole. I choked. Not from pain. From the way it made me feel. Possessed. Claimed small. I whispered, stop. I think I said it. Maybe I just thought it. Or maybe my hand, instead of pushing him away, pulled him closer. I don't no. Everything blurred. His palm on my cheek. His nose pressed into my throat. The tremble in his breath. He wasn't careful anymore. Not fully. His mouth moved lower. Collarbone, shoulder, gland. Scent on scent. Everything around us burned. The bed dipped beneath our weight. My skin felt too hot. My chest too tight. But I let him. I let him because somewhere in that scent-drunk haze, I needed it too. Needed him to want me. Not just protect me. Not just watch from the hallway. I wanted him close. Close enough to forget the world. He was whispering something again. Maybe my name. Maybe his own. I didn't hear clearly. Everything sounded like heartbeat and scent. My own thoughts drowned. Then his body jerked. A full rut crash. He pulled away too fast. Like he realized, like it hit him what he was doing. His scent snapped, broke off midair. He was panting. Hands gripping the sheets beside my head. Not touching me now. Still caging me in. Still there. I blinked up at him. He didn't meet my eyes. Didn't speak. His jaw clenched, and I felt his restraint fight his instinct. The bond, it wasn't formed, but it pulsed. Like a warning. Like a thread pulling at something deeper than the moment. I reached up. My fingers brushed his chest. He flinched, but didn't move. We stayed like that. Too close, too aware. Then his body gave out. He collapsed beside me, scent still wild, but hands fisted against his own thighs. He didn't touch me again. Not once. He just laid there, letting the weight of what we almost did crush him. I closed my eyes. The heat in my body faded slow, but the ache stayed. Not in my skin. In my chest, something between guilt and longing. I woke up hours later. The sheets were cold beside me. His scent was still there, sharp now, not soft. It smelled like shame. The kind that doesn't go away after a shower. I sat up slowly. My body ached in strange places. Not from touch. from the absence of it, from the confusion. The bond thread still tugged, but weaker. I looked toward the door. Open. Not wide. Just enough. Like he didn't want to slam it. Like he wanted me to see it. My eyes dropped to the nightstand. Empty. The key I gave him. Gone. Taken back. Stolen in silence. I waited. For a sound, a voice. A step. Nothing came. Only his scent. Faint now. Fading like he never existed. My hands curled into the sheets. Still warm from my body. But his side was ice. I stared at the ceiling. Everything inside me buzzed, too loud for silence, too quiet for tears. I wanted to scream. I wanted to ask him why he stopped. Why he left. Why he touched me like that, if he was just going to disappear again. But the house was quiet. Empty. And all I had left was the ghost of his rut and the bruise of his scent in my throat. I didn't pack much. Just clothes, toothbrush. Nothing with his scent. But still, his presence clung. To my sleeves, my fingers, my throat. I left before sunrise. The morning bus was half empty. Cold, my seat smelled like metal and damp fabric. But I could still taste him. Even with the windows cracked open, the air wouldn't leave me clean. He wasn't supposed to matter. It was a mistake. An accident. Something that never should have happened. That's what I told myself. Over and over. But my hands trembled the entire ride. I held my phone.
Didn't sit open it.
He hadn't called. Not once. And that hurt more than I wanted to admit. Because maybe he regretted it. Maybe he wanted me gone. Maybe the key he took with him that morning was a goodbye. I got off at a station far from his territory. No one recognized me here. No one knew I was broken. I booked a room in the cheapest inn I could find. The sheets were rough. The light flickered. But it was quiet. And I needed quiet. Or I thought I did. That night, it started again. The ache, not in my body, heat was long gone. But in my chest, something inside me kept pulling. Like an invisible thread tied to my ribs. Tied to him. I rolled over, pressing my hand to my throat. It was damp. From sweat. From scent. From want. Then, I felt it. Not outside the door. Inside. A pressure, like a heartbeat that wasn't mine. He was there. Not physically. But through the bond. His voice, soft, cracked. Inside my head like a memory I didn't ask for. You left the key, but why did you leave me? I gasped. Sat up too fast. The room spun. I wasn't imagining it. He was close. Physically close. I stood, barefoot, walked to the door. Didn't even check the peephole. I knew. I opened it. And there he was. Standing in the hall. Rain dripping from his hair. His jacket soaked through. Eyes red. Face pale. Breathing uneven. He looked broken. His scent hit me like a memory I couldn't run from. Wet pine, smoke, desperation. It made my knees weak. He didn't touch me. Didn't move forward. Just looked. At me. Like I was something sacred and ruined all at once. His voice came out low. Rough. Say you didn't mean it. I couldn't speak. Say you didn't mean to leave me. My lips parted. No sound. My throat burned. If you did, I said'll leave. Silence. One breath. Two. And then, I couldn't stay. My voice was small. Weak. But I didn't mean it. Something inside him cracked. He stepped forward. Still not touching. But I leaned in anyway. My body moved before my brain. He caught me when I stumbled. Hands gentle. Like he was scared I disappear again. I pressed my forehead to his chest. It was cold. Rain-soaked. But his scent, still warm. Still home. I thought you hated me, I whispered. He didn't answer right away. Then, I hated myself. My fingers curled into his shirt. I breathed him in. Felt his arms tighten around me. Not possessive. But certain, like he knew I wouldn't run again. And he wouldn't let me. We stood like that. In the hallway, dripping, shaking. But whole. Finally, I didn't come to take you back, he said softly. I came to ask if you still wanted to be found. I nodded. That sip's all I could do. Because my heart had already answered. It never left him. And it never would. We didn't speak much the next morning. Just in the quiet, in the breathing. He stayed. After everything. After the mistakes. After I ran. After he let me go. He came back and stayed. He made tea. His hands trembled when he poured it. The cup rattled softly against the table. He didn't look at me. Not at first. But when he finally did, his eyes weren't guarded. They were just tired, honest, and mine. I sipped slowly just to keep from crying. His scent was everywhere now. On the chair, on the air, on me. But softer, not claiming, just present. Like him, I placed the cup down and reached across the table. My fingers found his. He didn't pull. He just looked down at our hands. Like he couldn't believe I was still here. I went into heat early. I whispered. His eyes lifted. I felt his breath catch. Because of you. He blinked. Didn't move. My body, it knew you. Before I did. Something shattered inside him. He looked away fast. But I caught it. His shoulders shook. His scent cracked. Tears. He tried to hide them. I let him fail. Because some things deserve to be seen. I said, I'm sorry, he said, voice wrecked. For what? For not telling you. For waiting. For being near you when I knew it was too much. I shook my head. You didn't force anything. But I wanted to. I looked at him. Really looked. And saw it. The guilt, the restraint, the ache. I delayed my rut, he said quietly. I took suppressants too. Just to wait. So I wouldn't scare you. My heart cracked. You waited? He nodded. Every day. A tear slipped down my cheek. I didn't wipe it. He reached over, thumb brushing it away with a reverence that made me ache. I didn't want to touch you until you asked. I swallowed hard. But I never asked. No, he said softly. But you stayed. I did. I stayed. Even after everything. Even after the scent and the crash and the silence. Because his voice still calmed me. Because his scent still made me feel safe. Because when I lay down beside him now, it doesn't feel like surrender. It feels like home. He made dinner that night, burned the rice. I didn't say anything. We laughed once, awkward, quiet, but real. The world outside was still wet, but in here, I could breathe. Later, I sat on the bed. He handed me his hoodie. Didn't say why. But I knew. I slipped it over my head. It smelled like pine, warmth, and me. I pressed my face into the fabric. His hand rested on my knee. No pressure, just warmth. He didn't sleep on the floor. But he didn't cross the line either. We lay side by side. The distance between us filled with silence. And scent. And time. When I turned away, I felt it. His breath, steady, soft, brushing against the back of my neck. Mine, he whispered. Like a truth, like a vow. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. Because I was already his. Had been for a long time. Even before I understood it. Even before I accepted it. His key sits on my nightstand now. He never asked for it back. And I never gave it. Because he already has the door. And what sits behind it? Me. All of me. Even the parts I tried to run from. Even the parts that trembled when he got too close. He held them anyway. Gently. Like I was always meant to be in his hands. Like I was always meant to stay. And now, I do.